to get this off my chest because I'm still processing what I did last weekend, and honestly, I don't know if I'm a hero or a monster. Maybe both. For context, I'm Emma, 32 years old, and I come from what everyone on the outside calls such a loving family. You know the type: big holiday gatherings, coordinated Christmas cards, the works. But behind closed doors, I've been the family punching bag for as long as I can remember. It started small. When I was 10, my older brother Jake broke Mom's favorite vase playing football inside. I walked into the room seconds after it happened, and he immediately pointed at me. Emma did it. Mom didn't even ask. She just looked at me with that disappointed face and grounded me for 2 weeks. When I tried to explain, Dad said, "Stop making excuses, Emma. Take responsibility." That became the pattern. Anything that went wrong somehow became my fault. And when I'd get upset about it, I was too sensitive or overreacting or playing the victim. My sister Kara could do no wrong. She once crashed Dad's car into a mailbox drunk, and somehow the story became about how I should have offered to pick her up from the party. I was 16 and didn't have my license yet. The worst part wasn't even the blame. It was the gaslighting. They'd rewrite history right in front of me. I'd bring up something cruel, they said, and they'd look at me like I was insane. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. You're always so dramatic, Emma. I started questioning my own memories. Was I crazy? Was I actually the problem? College was my escape. I moved 6 hours away, got therapy, and started to heal. My therapist was the first person who ever validated me. She suggested I might be the scapegoat in a textbook toxic family dynamic. Reading about it felt like someone had written my biography. I went low contact after graduation. I'd show up for major holidays, endure the passive-aggressive comments about my sensitivity, and leave as soon as possible. They never understood why I was so distant, which was almost funny. They'd literally trained me to stay away and then acted wounded when I did. Then came the family reunion. My aunt, who I actually like, was turning 70, and she specifically asked me to come. It was going to be huge, over 50 relatives, rented pavilion, the whole extended family I hadn't seen in years. I almost said no, but Aunt Linda had always been kind to me, so I agreed. Here's where I need to explain something. About 2 years ago, after a particularly brutal Thanksgiving, where my family spent the entire meal making jokes at my expense, I started recording our interactions. Not because I had some master plan, I just wanted proof that I wasn't losing my mind. I needed to know my memories were real. I'd keep my phone in my pocket, recording dinners, phone calls, casual conversations. I amassed hours of footage. Listening back to them was validating, but also devastating. Hearing my own mother say, "Emma's always been the difficult one," or my father laugh along as Jake called me the family disappointment, was brutal. The week before the reunion, I had a therapy session where I played some clips for my therapist. She was horrified. "Emma, this is abuse, emotional abuse. Do they have any idea how they treat you?" That's when the idea hit me. I spent the next week carefully editing together a 12-minute compilation, just the greatest hits. Mom saying I was embarrassing the family because I got a B in chemistry. Dad telling Jake that at least we have one kid who isn't a constant disappointment. Kara laughing about how they all made a bet about whether I'd cry at Christmas. Uncle Ron saying I'd never find a husband with that attitude. All backed up with my calm voice explaining the context before each clip. I burned it onto a USB drive and brought it to the reunion. The day was beautiful. Perfect weather, good food, relatives I actually like catching up with me. Aunt Linda was glowing. Part of me felt guilty for what I was about to do at her party, but the other part, the part that had been gaslit for 22 years, felt electric with righteous anger. After dinner, there were speeches. Aunt Linda, some cousins, my dad doing his usual "aren't we such a great family" routine. Then I stood up. "I'd like to share something too," I said, walking toward the AV setup they'd rented for the slideshow presentation. My mom looked pleased. She probably thought I was going to give some sweet speech about family. I plugged in my USB drive. For years, I've been told I'm too sensitive, that I misremember things, that I make up stories about how I've been treated. So I thought, for Aunt Linda's birthday, I'd share the truth. I hit play. The pavilion went dead silent as my family's voices filled the speakers. 12 minutes of their cruelty, their mockery, their casual dismissal of me as a human being. I watched their faces as they heard themselves, really heard themselves, for the first time. Mom went pale. Dad's jaw clenched. Jake tried to laugh it off at first, but it died in his throat when the clip of him calling me worthless played. Kara started crying, but not apologetic tears, but angry ones. The extended family looked horrified. Aunt Linda's hand was over her mouth. My cousin Sarah, who I'd always been close to, was staring at my parents like she'd never seen them before. When it ended, the silence was deafening. "Emma," my mother said, finally, her voice shaking, "how could you do this at Aunt Linda's party?" And there it was. Not "I'm sorry," not "we were wrong," just blame again. "How could I?" I repeated. "How could you? For 22 years? My father stood up, his face red. "You recorded us? That's illegal. That's a violation of—" "It's a one-party consent state, Dad." I checked. Everything on that recording was legal. "You've humiliated this family," Kara hissed. "No," I said quietly. "I've just shown everyone who you really are." That's when Aunt Linda spoke up. "Sarah, Emma," she said gently, looking at my mom, "is this true? Have you been treating her like this?" My mother's face crumpled, but instead of owning it, she turned it on me. "She's always been so dramatic, Linda. She takes everything the wrong way. We were just joking." "Those weren't jokes," Aunt Linda said firmly. Several other relatives nodded. The reunion fell apart after that. Half the family left immediately. Some people came up to me privately, cousins, aunts, uncles, and apologized for not seeing it sooner. They'd noticed I was distant but assumed it was just my personality. My immediate family tried to leave together, united in their fury at me, but Uncle Ron stopped my dad. "We need to talk about this, Michael. That was abuse." I didn't stick around to see how that conversation went. I left, drove home, and have been dodging calls ever since. My phone has been exploding. Messages from my parents demanding I apologize, texts from Jake calling me psychotic, a crying voicemail from Kara saying I've destroyed the family, but also messages of support. Cousins telling me I was brave, Aunt Linda saying she loves me and she's sorry she didn't protect me, even a few people saying they'd experienced similar things and never had the courage to speak up. I don't regret it. I know I should feel guilty, ruining a birthday, airing dirty laundry, causing family drama, but mostly I feel free. For the first time in my life, I'm not the crazy one. I'm not too sensitive. I have proof and 50 witnesses that everything I experienced was real. My therapist says I should be proud of setting a boundary and refusing to be gaslit anymore. My best friend says I'm a legend. My parents say I'm dead to them. Honestly, I think I'm okay with that. So, Reddit. Am I the asshole for playing secret recordings of my family emotionally abusing me at a public reunion? Because right now, I'm sleeping better than I have in years.